All right, two-star diamonds. Super excited for today's call. We're going to jump right into it. We have Brittany Spain here, who is a two-star diamond. She has been a coach now for a couple years. She lives in California with her husband and her adorable one-year-old son, Shane. And so she basically has learned really to lead her coaches based on their goals. And I know sometimes this is a hard topic because we're looking for what we are trying to strive for, but I promise you, when you lead with your coaches' goals, you will too be successful. So I love the fact that you chose this topic because I think it's absolutely amazing, especially going to the end of the year. So we cannot wait to hear more about your story, Brittany. So if you want to go ahead and take it away, please do.
Awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and say I am not the most comfortable public speaking. And the fact that I'm talking to you guys, my peers, makes me extra nervous. So cut me some slack. I didn't go over my presentation like too many times because I end up getting more nervous. So if I stumble, cut me slack. But yeah, I chose this topic because, I think it's hard once we get into leadership. It's like, especially now, I was like, what am I going to be able to share that's something that we haven't heard, but also something that, thanks Ashley, but something that we haven't heard, but like, I feel like you guys have all done an amazing job, and I didn't want to cover something that's already been said, but I also wanted to talk about something that I've personally struggled with a lot throughout this journey, which is confidence as a leader. I've been really insecure about the fine line between having my own goals and pushing for my coaches as well, and how to get really excited about, striving towards elite and things like that, but not getting the waters mucky by forgetting why my coaches started in the first place, if that makes sense. So hold on. I tend to get like crazy cotton mouth when I get nervous, so I might drink my Shakeology the whole time, so just so you know. But I'm going to screen share. I am I have a fetish for pick monkey, so I like visually pleasing things. So this is like going to be a fun little slideshow that's just lots of pink and black. So 1 second. All right, you guys can see that? Okay. So yeah, leading with your coach's goals while striving towards your own. Let's see. Okay, so I love this. Okay, so this is something that I've kind of made up with my success partner. We've talked about how whenever we joined the same day on July 3rd of 2013, and it was right after that year's summit. And I had been talking to my mentor, Stephanie Chico, for a couple weeks, and I just had lots of questions. I was in a place in my life where I had recently gone through a divorce. I had a bunch of just like, insecurities that I brought with me into the business. And so whenever I saw her at Summit, that was the thing. That was the thing that pushed me over the edge and said, okay, I want to go all in. I saw those connections. And for me, I joined for those experiences, those relationships. So we talk about having coaching love languages. And it's kind of like some people, this was another thing, as much as I liked the relationships, I also, because I was in an insecure place in my life, I really wanted that recognition. Like when they welcomed me to the team page and made a flyer, I thought that was so cool. And so it just was something that I needed in that chapter. So what I've found is that every coach has a love language, whether it be recognition, experiences, or sometimes gifts. I know I have some personally sponsored coaches that that's like their thing. They love when I send them a goodie. So I've come to call these like coaching love languages, just so I know how to fill that bucket. If you guys have read the 5 Love Languages, the book that it's referring to personal relationships like with your partner and things like that. But I've kind of adapted this to coaching, where it's like, for me, it might be recognition and my coach giving me a shout out to make me feel that confidence boost. But for some people, that embarrasses them and they don't like it. They don't feel loved that way. They don't feel appreciated. So this has been something that I try to like hone in on with each of my coaches, so I know how to fill their tank in the way that is best for them. So that leads me to my About Me form. So from the beginning, I try to establish this and figure out exactly how to show my personally sponsored coaches love. So I do an About Me form that's pretty standard for the most part, but I've made the questions that I found a little different or extra important for finding these in red or pink. But like number 3, what most attracted you to the coaching opportunity? Like for me, when I said I joined because I saw my coach at Summit, that would be something that, you know, like I really want the sisterhood. I'll hear a lot of the coaches I sponsor say, because I show that a lot in my business, because that's the kind of girls I want to attract, friends. And I mean, there are a couple guys, but for the most part, I like attracting women. How much income do you hope to make through your Beachbody business in your first month, 6 months, a year? I like to dial this in just so I know what their vision is. And, you know, sometimes they'll go in a little deeper and talk about their family and the reasons that they need to see that income happen, or at the top where it says, do you have any children? Tell me a little bit more about you, all that stuff. I'll kind of have an understanding of what their life situation is, so I can focus on helping them best towards meeting those goals and seeing what's like a main priority for them. What are your top 3 places you'd like to visit? So all of these are just little, like I'm just trying to grab little nuggets. Like if, you know, we're hosting a retreat for my team and we're doing a push right now. And it just gives me kind of an idea of where they've never been, what would motivate them the most, those kind of things. How many hours can you devote to your coaching business per day? So this question I find really beneficial. I mean, it's pretty standard. I think most of you might ask that just so you know if it's a hobby coach or a full-time working coach. But for me, I love this question because then I know not to put too much pressure on them in regards to what my goals might be. And not to, I mean, I never want to put pressure on my coaches, but at the same time, we do have our personal goals, and it's good to know who's got the time to be working towards those if they're their goals too. So number 8, so you know, obviously the why is super important, so always bringing that back. But whenever we're in the depths of like working towards these goals, sorry, I just see a bunch of stuff. Oh, I don't know if there's people in the chat or something, but I can't see that. So sorry if I can't see your thingy. I'll get back to those. Oops. Sorry, hold on one second. So I just like knowing that why, so I can come back to that when we're pushing for those goals and really reconnecting. But this is the question that kind of really hammers it home. In order of what you appreciate most and are most motivated by, please list out the following forms of incentives. So I have them list that out, and you'll find, you know, some people, they'll say recognition, personal gift. You know, some people, they're motivated by cash. And I know we're not allowed to give cash bonuses out, but there's a way that we can tie this back in for those people that are in dire needs of a why, without having to be like, hey, here's $50 if you hit this goal, or here's $100, you know. So I wanted to share that About Me form if you guys were wondering how I got to this point of figuring out how to motivate them with their goals. So next, okay. And then I categorize them more mentally, but I'll kind of make a notes in like my little section or my folder that I keep for my coaches. And I'll say, you know, two categories of coaches. Some are motivated by recognition, like I was, and then some are motivated by the monetary why. My leading coach, she needs this to work for her family. It's just a non-negotiable, and it's been that way since day one. So I've known that that motivates her more than anything. Like she loves recognition too, but so that's why I say it can be a mixture of both, and or can change throughout your journey. So for me, and I'm sure a lot of you are sitting there thinking too, like how it's evolved for you, or maybe you are. But for me, I joined for the recognition. And then there's been parts of my journey where now it's like, okay, that's cool. I feel a little bit more confident in my role as a coach. Now I need this to work for my family, you know? And so it flips to there. And then, you know, now it's kind of back in the season of recognition as I'm pushing for elite and those kind of goals towards the end of the year. So, but it's good to know and have those open conversations with your coaches so you know what season they're in their coaching career. So you know how to motivate them and how to do it from a really authentic, genuine spot that will benefit both of you in the long run. So this is my tip of the day. And so this can be taken kind of harshly if you don't hear it all out. But something that I learned the hard way, and I just finally did this with Elite in this conversation. I've been really reluctant with talking about my personal goals. So I've learned it's benefited me. If you guys, this might not speak to everyone. This entire presentation might not speak to every single one of you. But I have a feeling that there's another leader that struggles with motivating your coaches, feeling guilty because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to advance in rank or certain things like that. So will they, but you have this big goal of Elite or Premier. And I'm going to be referring a lot to Elite and Premier since a lot of us are still pushing for those kind of goals or the new leader conference. But what I found was that the more candid I became with my personal goals with my coaches, the more comfortable the entire relationship became. I don't like talk about it nonstop, but what I found is if I work to achieve each of those coaches' specific goals and just find those that align with mine, then it's been, like I said, way more comfortable. I've been more confident as a leader because I'm not tiptoeing around being like, so do you think that you're gonna pull off diamond in this time? It's been a very candid conversation where there's no pressure and we're all working together as a team to make this happen collectively. And what I found is it actually bonds and makes us more cohesive in our culture as a growing team. And then if I don't have coaches, this is the part that I thought sounded a little harsh when I wrote it up, that you'll go find other coaches that will fit your mold. But that's kind of how I approach, like on Ashleen's talk, where it's like, we're just talking to as many people as possible and trying to connect. And we're just finding the people that need our help, so like bringing challengers, coaches, whoever on the same approach I try to have with my personally sponsored coaches. So if they don't want to push for a rank or certain things, then it's okay. For a minute there, I got resentful because I'm like, gosh, none of my coaches are working. What's going on? This is so frustrating. But then I started realizing, like we hear before, the speed of the leader to the speed of the pack, like I just need to be finding those people that want to run with me. So recruit new coaches while helping your existing coaches reach their own goals and whys. So that way it keeps it super comfortable and they know that my heart is always in the right place and I'm going to help them reach their goals and I'll always be there, but I still need to reach mine too. So, all right. So if they're motivated by recognition. So this stuff is going to be more, like I said, this portion specifically is going to be more towards us that are pushing for Elite. We have 43 days until the cutoff to qualify for 5-star or 2-star if you're pushing for Premier or the new leader conference to start qualification. So obviously the people that want recognition, this is the easiest to approach them and be like, hey, so I know that diamond's a big, deal for you. I think it would be really huge for our team to show what's possible by us collectively working towards this big goal of Elite. And I had to tell my coaches when I sat down and had this conversation, I told them I feel really uncomfortable. It's not something that comes naturally for me to talk about my goals with you guys. And, but I know at the same time that doesn't breed a culture of confidence with you guys. And it would break my heart to know that I'm passing down a trait where you guys feel like you can't speak to your coaches about your why and those things, because we all joined for that purpose, to reach our goals. So anyway, so I approached my coaches that I knew were running with it and wanted to make this happen. And those were the people that wanted recognition. And as far as incentives go, so I refer back to that coaching love language and I'll check it out and be like, okay, they're really motivated by gifts, all that kind of thing. If you're in the downline, Melissa Coleman's on this call, she's my buddy. But like our sponsors started this where they would give diamonds necklaces. So this is like our diamonds necklace on my team. But whenever you hit that rank, you're gifted a diamonds necklace for holding it for lifetime, so that's the way to understand how to feed their love language with the incentives that motivate them. Experiences. So for example, my team is pushing for a retreat that is, the cutoff is for the 18th of November in regards to like the Elite push. And then they have to hold rank until the end of the year to qualify. So another option that I've heard top leaders using is everyone's getting on the Success Club trip. Maybe you can't afford to take your spouse quite yet, using that as an incentive to motivate your coach, one of your coaches too, or all of them, trying to get that spot. And then I kind of just put this little asterisk at the bottom where obviously, you know, it's hard. You're seeing this 5-star goal, and that's such a huge part of the puzzle when it comes to elite. And for me, that's kind of where I'm like trying to figure it all out as far as diamonds go. And obviously recognition and people pushing for that rank, they're going to be your rank fillers, your 5 stars. And then the cool thing is they'll also help with ATV and PSPV if you're still working towards your points. And then my last slide before I find out what all those comments are, I hope I'm not ruining it.
It's not you. It's about a different topic, so we'll discuss it after.
Okay. Sorry. Motivated by a monetary why. So those people that have huge whys, these will be your volume builders and contributing, like on the bottom, if they're your 2015 coaches. PSPV will be huge, ATV, but possibly rank as well. So it's just finding what's important to them. You know, I usually tell my coaches that they should be pushing for diamond minimum anyways if their motivation is rank, but they also don't encourage people that really need that income in the beginning to do so many discount coaches, because it's not to their advantage. If there's going to be Shakeology customers staying on Shakeology, they could really benefit from that, you know, $30 a month before signing them up as a discount coach and not getting that, because that's so huge in the beginning with income. So incentives to motivate them. So refer back to the coaching love language, like I had said, gift experiences, things like that. But options that help with their monetary wise. So back to the cash. So like our downline, we're in TKO with Brandy Bots, and they've set a really cool example of putting cash into a pot where everyone that's in the training has the ability to earn it. And I want to say it was like 11,000 with our last push to diamond, which is just crazy. So our teams are obviously smaller, but the cool thing about that is they get a little skin in the game. They donate $5 to $10 into the pot, and then they're extra motivated to earn it during that training, and they get a little extra cash that they need so desperately. So, and then the other thing, so this one, it's up for debate. Some people might not be as into it, but I found it actually works really well for me. I have a decent retention rate. I'm not the like best recruiter, I'll be honest, but I have, maybe it's because I strive to have such close relationships and friendships with my coaches, that I have coaches that maybe they don't hit Success Club and they try really hard, but they're lifers. And that's something I really pride my team on. But to reward those people that have pushed for diamond and still aren't seeing that income, I've done this thing where once you go diamond, I'll put 2 coaches on your weak leg. The disadvantage is if that coach ends up quitting, then you leave those coaches without support from their upline, or you have to go in and specifically be placing coaches under them. So that is the downfall. But I've seen, you know, those coaches I sign under my top leader start hitting Success Club, and it's just increased her income by $100 to $200 a week. And that was huge. Like, it was so big, and it encouraged her so much, and she was super appreciative. So that's kind of all I've got. I don't know what you guys think, or yeah, thank you. That's pretty much it though.
You're adorable. No, that was awesome. And you're not nervous at all. You do it once, you're good. It's like posting your before and after pictures. You're like, got this now, right? So I'm going to open it up to questions that you have for Brittany about her presentation. Oh, come on. None of you are quiet and shy and bashful. I know all of you. Questions, comments.
That form.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. When you send them the About Me form, do you have them send you a written answer back, or do you get on the phone with them and go over it, or how do you do that?
So I have a welcome email where I send them out my expectations and what they should expect from me. I actually borrowed this from Sarah Gobb. It was actually really helpful for me because I felt like I was getting I would do that getting started right call, and I started having this routine of people just blowing up my cell phone when I was with family, and it would get to a point where I was like wanting to run away from my phone. So I set those expectations with my business hours and all that stuff and what I expect from them. And it's the one thing I loved about that I'll kind of touch on really quick is that I really made it important to empower themselves and to right from the get-go in that welcome email, to go find it on Google, YouTube, in the team pages, all that stuff. But in that, I attached the About Me form to the bottom of the welcome email with the 7-day quick start. I think it's called something else now. And then I have one more thing the Power Hour. So I'll attach it with that. And then I won't set up my Getting Started Right call until they return that About Me form to me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hi, Melissa.
Anybody else?
I have one. Hey, Britt.
Hello.
Okay, so I have a question. Whenever you're rewarding them with their love language, do you do this? Do you have one person in mind and you're like, okay, I want them to get to diamond, or I want them, do you specifically give one person that prize, or do the cash pot having somebody in mind, or do you kind of offer everybody a different type of prize, if that makes sense?
When I do like a team-wide prize, it's usually because I feel like, I know that that's what more than one of my coaches is going to want. In May, I actually did Chico's diamond necklace as an incentive for everyone that went emerald or went emerald again that month. And a lot of people liked that because of the sentimental value. And I already knew a couple girls that wanted that necklace so bad. So I was just like, they really want it. I really want them to hit these goals. So it's a win-win. So I just made it team-wide, and that was one of our biggest months. So with that, but then sometimes I'll like approach them. I'll be like, hey, I have this, I just keep it real. And I'm like, I have this really big goal and I can't do it without you. I don't want to put that pressure on you, but I'll speak to someone else, not to negate your efforts. But this goal is really important for me and my family too. So how do you feel about pushing this? And I will reward you with whatever it is that they want.
Thank you. So I muted myself because Caleb was going crazy. Thank you, Britt.
No worries. Thank you.
Great presentation too.
Thanks, Mama.
What other questions do you have? So obviously there was a huge strike on conversation about elite during that whole conference. You talked about elite and all of a sudden it's like, bam, like, wait, what about elite, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that in the comments? You're like, wait, what's going on? No, you didn't miss out. You're good. You're good. So I guess the biggest question is, do you want me to just clarify this real quick? Ashleen, I know Kelly had a couple questions. So as far as elite goes, you have to go into 5-star diamond qual by November 25th is what that is. You have to hold it for 6 weeks. So that's what we were talking about. But then also you have until December 31st to get all of your points and secure your diamonds that you have to have 2 for elite. Do you have any other questions?
So we do have till the 25th. Awesome. I've been so confused.
You know what? Let me pull the FAQ because now that we're saying that.
There's a lot of confusion about it. I've talked to other coaches who are saying 18th, and I looked up in the FAQ and it said November 25th.
I've seen November 25th, but let me get back to all of you and I'll post it in our group because let me find specifically where it says it rather than just here. Yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
I saw, in the FAQ, like Ashleen mentioned, I had seen it in the FAQ with the 25th, and then in the West Region page, it says the 18th.
Oh, okay. So let me ask Doug about that.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. I'll get back to all of you. Basically, you have to hold it for 6 weeks. So if you think of that, but I'm going to tell you guys right now, do not wait until that last minute. You know what I mean? Don't try and secure that right now because the worst thing that could happen is that you get to that last week and everything falls and then you don't have any time to make up from where you're at. Okay, so that's a good question, but I'll get you the right answer on all that. What other questions do we have for Brittany? Any? If you're wondering how to spark interest with your team and really get them excited about this business, because I know, especially as 2-star diamonds and where we're working up, we focus so much on elite and being an elite team. But if you remember, if you think about it, your name is the one that's tied to the elite. Okay. And so I actually had a 4-star diamond that she was ranked in the top, she's ranked in the top 25. And then she led with, let's be an elite team and let's be an elite team. And she finally stepped back and she said, Brittany, she's like, honestly, it's me that gets the recognition. Yes, my team, but my name is all over it. So now I'm going to go back and see what my coach's needs are. And most of them, so she did like a holiday hustle or, some type of group. Basically, it was she asked her coaches, what do you want to accomplish by the end of the year? And most of them said, I want money for holiday presents, or I want to rank advance. And so then she started specifically helping them with her goals. And since then, her business has lit up even more than it was. And it's because now she's focusing on your team's goals, your coach's goals. And the most important thing with this is when you make your team and your coaches successful, you will be successful. The biggest thing you want is your coaches actually to go above and beyond you, because that's a compliment to you and your leading and guiding them to success. So I love this topic, Brittany, especially during the end of the year, because if we go back and go ask our coaches, hey, what are you wanting? I promise you they will say it, and then you'll know how to hold them accountable. So great topic. Nobody has any other questions, though?
I'm okay with that.
She's like, I'm good. You did so good. Any other questions?
Can I add something super quick? To those of you who, I think sending that about form for your new coaches is great, but if you have a bunch of old coaches, what I did a couple weeks ago was just made a Google form with a lot of the same information, posted it in my group so I could kind of gain that information from my older coaches who I missed the boat on earlier. So that's a good way. And then you have it all together. And some of the coaches who filled it out aren't my personally sponsored coaches, so I sent their information to their personally sponsored coach they would know too.
Awesome. And things change. I would challenge you to also, if you have one on your older coaches, redo it. Life changes. Things change. You may know now exactly what they want and how to help, hold them accountable towards their goals. Brittany, is there anything else you want to add on to any of this?
No, I just, I'm really humbled that you guys hopped on here, and thank you so much for giving me your time. So that's it.
Absolutely. You all have a wonderful week. We're all off to leadership. So if you need us, send us a message or send me a message. I guess I'm all yours. And if I don't get back to you, just know that we're obviously at leadership. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But I hope you all have an amazing week. And I want to see every single one of you at leadership next year. Okay? That is a challenge I'm putting out there right now to you. Other than that, thanks again, Brittany. You did amazing.
Bye, Britt.
Okay. Bye, all.